Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, so we were asked to do a house hacking video.
Okay.
And here's the cool thing. I did one 11 years ago.
Okay.
Right? So before house hacking existed, it wasn't a coined term yet.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a link to the video. Actually, I'm going to put the link to the video up here. You can click on it. It'll go off the side, and then you can play it afterwards. But here's a clip from the video, house hacking from 2012. Find a fourplex where there's one unit open and there's 3 units occupied with tenants paying rent already. And I'll talk about that in a second. So here are the rough numbers. We'll just say for the market, we'll just say it's the Las Vegas real estate market right now. $200,000 is the purchase price. You're buying the whole building for $200,000. And your monthly payment is roughly $1,400. That's what you pay every month to the bank, okay? But for each unit, we'll say you're getting $700 per month in rent. So what that means is you're getting $700, $1,400, $2,100 a month in rent. You're collecting that from your tenants. You're only paying $14, so you're living in this unit, not paying anything essentially, and you're getting $700 a month rent. The great thing about this is in months where you don't have a tenant, you're still not out of pocket because the 2 tenants cover the whole amount. Okay, Juana. So that was pretty interesting. You could buy in 2012, you could buy a really nice fourplex for $200,000.
Right.
Get $700, pay $1,400 for your mortgage, and get $700 from the 3 units, which more than paid for your mortgage.
Right.
And you could live there for free.
Yes.
That was literally house hacking.
Yes.
That's pretty hard today, though.
It is very hard today, and that was a unique moment in time. There have been other times when that worked, but for the most part, it's pretty hard to make that work because usually the price of homes is on the higher end versus what you're going to be able to get for rents.
Right.
And so it is more difficult to do. Now, we certainly know a number of people who have done that, and it does work, but it does take a special circumstance to do it today, particularly today because of the low inventory. And
back then, you could buy an $80,000 house that today would be $300,000 to $400,000 that would give you $1,000 a month rent, which was that's an unheard of. The cap rate on that's like 12% for a single family residential homes. You can literally sell at any time and get it's not liquid, but it's pretty darn liquid for considering real estate.
Right.
And then I'll give another example here. Right around that time, it was actually 2 years before that, in 2010, I was actually going to buy a fourplex for $425,000. This was a super nice one right outside of Summerlin. And it was, all 4 units were over 1,000 square feet. And the going rent for those was $1,000 to $1,100 each. So I could have rented 3 units, probably got $1,200 each for $425,000, and then lived in one for free and made money out of it.
Yep.
But those units today are, I think I saw they were $1.2 million for the units. So you're basically like buying 4 little houses. So it won't work because numbers don't work the same now because you can't get that much more in rent. You can get more in rent, but not that much more. And of course, financing would be more.
Right. Yeah. I mean, right now you can get for about $350,000, you can get a house that gets pretty close to $2,000 a month in rent.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about this. Airbnb is basically house hacking, right?
It is. It's one of the ways that you can house hack, right? You short-term rent a property and you get more in that short-term rental than you would in a regular month-to-month or long-term lease.
Gigster and companies like that where you lease your house out for production companies to film. I mean, your little crappy apartment, or condo may not but it may. Someone may say, hey, we need kind of a dumpy apartment to film a scene in. And they'll come to you and give you, $400 to film for 2 hours, something, right? I mean, it's possible, right?
Sure, anything's possible.
Anything's possible. But the bottom line is, anytime somebody comes up with one of these sort of niche things that happen to work in a certain market, none of those are working right now with super low inventory. Right.
So the issue right now is that there's low inventory, so you can't, usually right now buy a house and house hack, to your point, where you can make more money than what you're paying in your payment if you're financing the whole thing. I mean, obviously, if you're paying cash or if you're putting a lot of money down, then that's a different circumstance. But if you're financing most of it, it gets a lot harder.
Maybe finding somebody that'll do an assumption.
Right.
That'll get you a little bit lower payments. A lot of work though, probably.
But, so here's the thing. I mean, most loans out there are assumable loans. So FHA, most of them are assumable. VA, assumable. Conventional, assumable. Jumbo, assumable. So there are a lot of assumable loans out there. I was looking, and I think I mentioned this on a previous video, I was looking in Summerlin in a particular neighborhood that is a $1 million+ neighborhood, and interest rates in there were, anywhere between 0.06% all the way to, I think, 3 and change. And the balances were anywhere between $1 million and up. So it's really interesting to look at that. So those are opportunities. Now, you don't have to look at $1 million+ properties to find assumable loans. There are lots of assumable loans out there. The main issue that you're going to run into is that neither the real estate agent nor the seller knows that those loans are assumable. It is not hard to find out that they're assumable. Usually it says it on the deed. The deed is a publicly recorded document, so you can see that. The seller just has to contact their servicer or lender and say, hey, I need an assumption package. They'll send one either via email, snail mail, or FedEx, and here we go.
What about just people want to build wealth in the house, using the house they live in? But I mean, just owning a house is a way to build wealth.
Right.
Right? It's almost today, regardless of what prices go up or down, it doesn't really matter. At any point in the past, if you bought a house, if you didn't take money out on it and you made your payment every month, you building equity for 2 ways.
Right.
It went up.
Right. So the value went up, and you're making payments against the principal. So every month your equity grows.
So part of your rent payment is paying down your loan.
Right.
So the amount of equity you have in the house grows minus whatever you borrowed on it, right? Eventually, you extinguish the loan at 30 or 15 years or whatever the thing is. So, I always think, forget a hack. The best hack you can use is just fundamentals, right?
Right.
Just some discipline and a commitment. There's a bunch of books you can read, but, Millionaire Next Door is a good one. What's another good one?
A lot of the Stephen Covey books are really good, beginning with The End of Mind and things like that. But the bottom line is you have to have a plan. You have to have a goal, and then you have to have a plan how you're going to achieve that goal. And then it takes discipline to stick to your plan so you can achieve your goal. So if your goal is to save money for a down payment or for whatever it is that you want to do, then you figure out where you're spending and change your habits so that you're spending things that are of value to you, and the peripherals that are not as valuable to you, maybe you don't spend money on, and you get to save that money or invest that money or put it towards something more meaningful in your life.
Yeah, so like a good example could be you live in a city and you're in a high rent area because you really like it, but then you realize you're spending all of your income on your lifestyle. And when you're doing that, that's fun, but then where are you in 20 years? You've had fun, but now you don't have anything. And so, maybe this, that's just like the people in the Bay Area that they take the train over from the East Bay because they can buy a place out there and they get on the train and come into the city, and it's painful, but now they own a house, but they couldn't maybe buy a house in the city, right? Or something like that. Or I don't know, there's a bunch of ways to do it. I've always believed that, anything that's worthwhile takes a ton of discipline. I had a goal as a child to become an astronaut. So I went and figured out when I was like 8, I decided I wanted to do that. So I figured out what I had to do that. And what I had to do was I looked at all the people who were astronauts, like John Glenn, who was a Marine Corps pilot, Neil Armstrong, he was the first person in space, Alan Shepard, he was the first American to do orbit. So John Glenn did the first complete orbit. Alan Shepard did a suborbital flight. He's the first American in space. And they were all naval aviators, Navy, Marine Corps aviators. So I said, well, if I want to be an astronaut, have to be naval or Marine Corps aviator. So I better go to the Naval Academy. And I looked at what it took to go to the Naval Academy. You had to get straight A's, really high in your scores. You had to be an athlete. So I did all the stuff I had to do to get there. And it took years of discipline with no payoff. I was getting A's in classes. I was doing all these sports. I was president of clubs and stuff, and I still wasn't an astronaut. And guess what I didn't do? I didn't stop doing them. Mm-hmm. I kept doing them. And I ended up being, flying jets off aircraft carriers and doing all that. And I didn't get to be an astronaut, but I had friends I went to college with became astronauts, mm-hmm. and I got to see them go up in space. It didn't happen for me. But it paid off, though. I still got to do all this cool stuff. So sometimes you have to take that and look at your life that way and say, hey, I need to just be disciplined now because it's going to be painful now. Maybe I don't, on my way to, work, I don't stop at Starbucks. Maybe I just, or I take a sack lunch into work. I just grab a sandwich or something and take it in instead of going out with the guys and then paying $15. Mm-hmm. And right? Mm-hmm. Like that, all that stuff adds up.
It does. It all adds up. So you have to kind of sort out what adds value to your life and what doesn't. And if it doesn't add value to your life, then maybe those funds can be spent towards something that does add value to your life.
Yeah, and sometimes adding value to your life is just knowing that you have 6 months of savings mm-hmm. that you could live for 6 months if you got a new job or you decided to relocate or switch careers or go to grad school or do some other thing. Mm-hmm. To me, that's like more rewarding than a new Ferrari or something like that, right?
But not a new Roadster.
Tesla Roadster Model 2, the new version of the Roadster. That's not out yet. Probably not the Cybertruck.
Oh, I would like the Cybertruck too.
It won't fit in the garage.
I don't care. I want the Roadster and the Cybertruck side by side.
Then you'll have the Roadster. You'll have a Model 3 and a Model Y. Uh-huh. And then where are the Roadster and the Cybertruck going to go? Have to buy another house to put the cars in it.
One thing at a time. Let me just get the vehicles. I'll sort out the garage business.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, if this was interesting, if you laughed, if we didn't bore you terribly, please like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video, leave us a love note, and tell us, what is your life hack that helps you accomplish your goals? What are your goals? We're interested in finding out more about you, so leave us a comment and tell us more. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.